6:54 p.m. This is a screen recording in order to cover some evidentiary bases with regard to the federal imprisonment of the people of the state, specifically the people of the state who are maliciously engaging in and facilitating terrorism in concert with the people of the state. And I'm referencing Speaker Companies Incorporated. I'm referencing the people of the state that are maliciously engaging in state terrorism and facilitating state terrorism in concert with the state of California, as they are employees of the third party company, which is a group stalker. Speaker Companies is a group stalker, and everybody working under the company name of Speaker Companies are group stalkers, which is terrorism that I'm documenting, and I'm exposing it as it's occurring in the workplace where the state is operating the state system of terrorism and federal stalking also on the venue of the internet. And it is readily identifiable because you have literally the exact same pattern of conduct. So all I've done is shown you how that exact same formula, that template, you're literally just applying it over now. It's occurring in the workplace. And then you'll see, oh, the demons, the third parties are in the workplace, acting pursuant to the same demonic behavioral pattern, which is prosecuted as malice, in concert with the same demonic and corrupt entity that is group stalking while you are in the workplace, surrounded by those in the workplace, using any and everything related to the workplace to engage in the same exact group stalking, maintaining the same exact elements, which is then becoming legally relevant with regard to prosecution for what is terrorism in that workplace, for what is psychotic level of malice that's exhibited in that workplace by those third-party group stalking demon-possessed terrorists who are hiding under the names and exercising fictitious authority while they are identifying themselves as your supervisor, your manager, even your co-workers, even those that are coming onto the grounds doing business with you in that workplace. This is what Nova contractors, this is what the people of the state are doing, coming onto the grounds as a moving company, and they're engaging in terrorism, coming onto the grounds of Korean moving company, and they're terrorist group stalking with the state, specific environment, pacing, demonic activity, and doing so maliciously while they are moving in a terrorist, Brian Suh, in the same parking lot at 11 o'clock in the morning. I've already documented, and I'm referencing what is already on the record while you are looking at this terrorist in video that I captured, and you seeing him engaging in a very malicious malicious show of what is stalking someone else. The light source is over the property. It is 6:05 p.m. is the time that this video is captured. And also you will see, first of all, this vehicle is in the shade, and you will see the engineered light that is moving while a demon is creating activity. The closure of the car doors, audible activity, the presence of this demon accessing the vehicle. You have seen the engineered light that's covering the sides of the cars. You can see my upright shadow that's magnified in size, while demons wanting to, again, you're ignorant of the environment, but you're no longer ignorant. And so you're witnessing what's a psychopath, and you're able to analyze that demented mind state. And then you are able to quantify that because it's a whole population of psychopaths who are heavily, heavily stalking you, targeting you, while failing, no longer hiding anything, still continuing in that criminal endeavor with the state that's providing evidence against them while they're stalking in helicopters. That's what Brian Suh is exhibiting as the people of the state. Brian Suh is a terrorist. This is one that's been granted the privilege to be in this country, and he will not be shipped out soon enough. This is the treatment of every terrorist that's engaging in what is terrorism in the state with the state of California, which is, again, revealing what is a matter of public corruption, where an American citizen has been betrayed by their own government, including those that have been granted the right to be in what is my country, okay, and here violating my constitutional rights. It does not get any more egregious than that, as opposed to what is having this aged, demon-possessed, group-stalking psychopath being a sex offender, keeping me under surveillance, aware of when my panties are down, being a demon pacing all around, running outside to engage in audible and light activity because of the knowledge that my panties happen to be down. That's psychotic, and it's also predatory and sexually motivated, very highly demented. These are sex offenders that will be permanently shipped out of this country. And also what is maintained on the list of terrorists terrorists and those that are engaging in what is terrorism in this country, while they will be permanently removed from this country. And this just makes up what is, for example, Sang Lee, who was documented in this video that I captured at, again, what is 6:05 p.m., acting with the terrorist organization, the LAPD, who are masquerading as a law enforcement agency. I'm revealing and unmasking the terrorist system in the United States. And they masquerade as companies. They're the people of the state. They masquerade as private residents. They're the people of the state. They masquerade as co-workers. They are the people of the state, and they are masquerading as, for example, law enforcement agencies, arms of the government, and they are terrorists. And they're engaging in what is very highly demented. So I want you to see this, because this is exhibiting what is the malice of the people of the state. First of all, the first level of analysis, this is the light source. It's 6:55 p.m. You've already seen the sun rise over me at the same address. And there was also a body of evidence. This is the maintenance of a light source in an entirely different location, which I went to length discussing in this video. Speaking to on this day in 2022, I am on the public transportation Omnitrans, who is going to be prosecuted by the sexual violence and the terrorism that Brian Suh, in concert with the state, the LAPD, are engaging in. Speaking to what is the impossible maintenance of the environment, nonetheless, because Omnitrans is engaged in what is terrorism on the roads and the highways, with real-time knowledge of the fact that their criminal conduct is being documented, exposed. They're engaged in federal stalking. Omnitrans represents the people of the state. They're engaging in the identical criminal pattern of conduct, aiding the state in the same exact ways, using public transportation to facilitate state terrorism. That is the grounds of federal prison, by the way. It is the grounds of what is draining, literally draining the pockets of the people of the state that want to extend their companies to perpetuate terrorism in the United States, which is an act that is violating the constitutional and human rights of an American citizen. So what Brian Suh is doing is exposing what the people of the state are doing, as I documented on this day in 2022, where there's no shared environment and there certainly is no sunlight that's going to appear inside of my bedroom, which you will also see. But I want you to see what is the outward demonstration, what is exhibiting the demon possession, in other words, the malice with which Brian Suh, a malicious terrorist who has no basis, no right to be in my country, engaging in what is absolutely un-American and unthinkable with the so-called free world, with literally, this is revealing what is public corruption and the betrayal by your government with those who are not even naturally born here. Okay, you're talking about the levels of hypocrisy, the levels of literally being despicable and entirely un-American in every regard, is what I am capturing while you're looking at terrorism by one that's been granted the privilege to be here. Okay, those of, like I stated in this video, those of the same status as Brian Suh, they will be promptly removed. And it's going to do wonders, by the way, when you are cleansing the population in the state of California. It's going to do wonders for the economy. It's going to do wonders for immigration. When you have been given, the plight that's going on in California, how we can't afford this and how we have we don't have enough for that, we have a surplus of people. When you are handling the issue of public corruption in the state of California and removing the large population that doesn't even have a right to be here, group stalking, engaging in terrorism, it's going to answer many of these issues. It's going to answer much of it. Okay. So anyway, that's just as an aside. You're looking at the light source that's over the documentation against the people of the state, because Brian says not only exposing himself, he's exposing the people, he's exposing the state that's sounding helicopter activity. This is the specific environment. It's not over public transportation, it's not over any public transportation, Route 83 in particular, while I am on this day and leaving Chino, California, where I remained at the library, the Chino Branch Library. The light source is over my head as I arrive. The light source remains over me through the window of that bus as I am northbound on Euclid Avenue going toward Ontario. This is the same bus that I'm on at 7:44 in the morning going northbound, and the light source is remaining over me when I'm going from Ontario to Upland. This is that same route. I've compared this same route at 7:44 in the morning inside of my living room. This is already on the record. And the entity through this apartment and through the living room window is maintaining a light source in perfect alignment with me, aiming engineer light into my apartment in the same impossible manner, the same demonic manner, the same manner which is speaking to criminal conduct by the government. It is state action. It is also documentation of terrorism via directed light, and it is absolutely impossible that the sun would be in alignment to me. As a matter of record, 7:44 in the morning, comparing it to Route 83 going northbound in Upland, California, at what is 6:05 in the evening, comparing it to the same bus route, Route 83 of the Omnitrans, going from Chino to Ontario, California. where the sun is not going to be through the window in alignment over my head on that same bus route going the same direction, nor is it going to be over me in alignment to me when I am now, it's totally far from any bus route 83 of Omnitrans. I am now in Los Angeles, where the documented maintenance of a light source, not possibly the sun, is remaining over me after 6 o'clock in the evening, nor is sunlight going to move around on the asphalt as you also see it, nor is sunlight remaining, creating multiple shadows. And all of this is captured inside of my apartment. So I want you to understand, as I break down all those identifiers for what is malice, all those identifiers for malice is synonymous with how the demon possessed are maintaining presence around you, doing so in an unnatural environment. And that unnatural environment, it is also revealing what is a demonic environment. And that demonic environment, as you will also speak, the truth that I speak regarding the criminal conduct that I'm exposing about a corrupt government that's acting in concert with the demons that surround, they are identified as the people of the state. The entity engaged is providing what is evidence while they're criminally present and group stalking. Not only is their activity creation occurring with simultaneity to what they know I'm exposing about them, which is demonic also. This is, again, following the leader. I am the leader. The demons stalk with audible activity. The demons stalk with light activity. The demons stalk maintaining presence in the path as they listen to their criminal conduct and their demonic behaviors being exposed. You will see that light activity occur with simultaneity to the criminalization of their demonic behaviors, which is of a criminal nature, as you see flashing of light occurring on my ceiling inside of my bedroom. Okay, that's speaking to what is demonic. It's also speaking to what is an emission. In other words, the demons know, and let me be clear, the fact that you're a demon is now legally relevant. We're not talking about any exercise of religious rights. The government does not have any such right to engage in what is group stalking, which is criminal surveillance. Certainly does not have any right to do so while it is doing with the people of the state, such as Brian Suh. And the fact that the government is doing it with Brian Suh is showing the ongoing connection through the unnatural environment that is shared, that surrounds me everywhere that I go, and the ongoing concerted conduct that Brian Suh, which represents the people of the state, acting in conformity to that same pattern and that same concerted conduct, simultaneity of behavior together as one in that unnatural environment, and that behavior and that activity creation also is speaking to what is a phenomenon never naturally occurring. Is how you get the system. Okay, so this is speaking to what is no conduct as an individual. This is conduct as an entity, and this entity is acting via Brian Suh. The light source is over. It is captured at 6:05 p.m. I'm giving all of this prefacing. All this to preface what I'm going to show you on video. The light source is directly over the windshield. That's how you know that this is group stalking, and that's a psychopath that engages in taking. And this vehicle is parked in the shade. Okay, so just really quick. Such measures. Let's go back. This is indeed in the shade. Okay, parked in the shade. The light source is hovering directly above. This is also speaking to what is asinine. Okay, any inauthentic. This is not a genuine endeavor to try to understand or argue about what is unreasonable, suggesting that this is the sun that would be seen through the window of Route 83 on the same day at the same time, or even around the same time. It is directly above the vehicle. That's how it's seen through the windshield. And there is no reasonable basis to contend otherwise. It is capturing what is impossible. The unnatural environment is a scientific impossibility. That is, by the way, the evidence of what is entirely a demonic environment, speaking to the demonic behavior that I am exposing, which is maintaining the criminal elements of monitoring by a population of the demon-possessed who are secretly engaging in what is group stalking. And because it's the government, it shall be prosecuted as exactly what it is. It's criminal surveillance in the so-called free world. All right. And it is demonic in its nature. So this is the entity that's in this specific environment. And there is nothing to be shared about any window or windshield on the Omnitrans bus, nor is the sun ever going to be in any position to be seen through my window, through the windshield of Brian Suh's vehicle, while he is an entire psychopath and sex offender, desperately wanting to engage in what is group stalking and monitoring me and threatening my life and safety and overall well-being, and sexually offending me while monitoring documentation, and wants to go out to engage in what is nothing other than moving. This is a cockroach in the spirit. He's just moving around in the light, creating noise. And engineer light begins manifesting in the shade under the light source, while also engineer light remains all inside of my apartment. This is exposing the threat that the population is, the people of the state, that they are to the public. This is going to be the removal of their minor children. This is going to be the publishing on the list maintained by the DOJ regarding terrorists and violent sex offenders engaging in terrorism in the U.S. It is group stalking. doing it in the shoes of what is the corrupt government, which is the state of California, these terrorist organizations such as the LAPD, who in this video that I began capturing at 6:05 p.m. sounds helicopter activity, I believe on 3 separate occasions, providing ongoing amplification, providing ongoing evidence of criminal presence, literally evidence against the people of the state, Brian Suh, because in the unnatural environment, that is where the entity is engaging in what is stalking you, which is the totality of the definition of the specific environment, where the people of the state are surrounded by evidence of they're not doing anything else other than group stalking, and it's 24/7. It is terrorism. So this is what the entity is doing, and I want you to pay attention. This is in shade.
Against the whole population. The light source is directly over the windshield. That's how you know that this is group stalking, and that's a psychopath that engages in taking such measures.
And this is indeed a psychopath who was doing nothing other than coming out to, oh, I have to hurry up, I have to go out, let me go just go get something to get something out the car, because that's literally what this demon is doing. It's about me. It's about group stalking someone else. Only a psychopath would stalk and be obsessed with someone and at the same time go through the endeavor to try to maintain a position where it appears as though you're not doing that. That's the system of group stalking. Let me be clear. The prosecution, the P.O.C., is revealing that psychotic mind state, that failed endeavor, but nonetheless, you need to understand that mind state, that criminal purpose. That type of purpose is designed to not only stalk you, but also designed, to psychologically torment the ordinary target individual that is not equipped to deal with what is demonic at its nature. This is a whole other level of wicked and malicious. This is another basis of being deported out of this country. You can't even be trusted in around anyone. You can't be trusted on any job. This level of terrorizing and seeking to torment an American citizen for no legitimate purpose, which is, by the way, established as a matter of facts. This is not hyperbolic commentary I'm giving. This is a breakdown of the criminal conduct. You're going to be deported on the basis of this criminal conduct. Okay, so the entity is engaging in this. This is in the shade. This is a psychopath coming to group stalk with the state that's sounding helicopter activity. And doing so, keeping their back to you, not looking at you, couldn't be concerned about you, group stalking you, okay?
While they're targeting you, another terrorist that's going to be rooted out, taken out of the country, all right? The entity does so. You saw the entity fly over by helicopter while engaging in surveillance, sitting.
I want you to pay attention to the light activity that moves across his person. It's going to move across the blue shirt, across the blue pants, the black pants of the blue shirt. This is inexplicable light activity. There is no explanation. First of all, there's no sunlight, period. None of this, that's not the sun. None of this is sunlight. But I want you to start paying attention to the details. You will see that this demon's purpose is to create light activity while stalking me in the path. On the ground, because the demons are stalking in helicopters and in airplanes over me, okay? But I want you to pay attention to the creation of that light activity. The door closure is audible activity. And this demon just came out to walk by, cross path, open up all the doors, and then close all the doors and walk right back. Group stalking.
The parking lot, which is, by the way, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 6 in the evening.
All right, that's engineered light that's moving on the ground. This is a demon. This is terrorism via directed light. It's also a violent sex offense. The context of where it's happening, it's occurring in the, while the target individual is in the private space. So in other words, while you're being group stalked, while the demons are surrounding you in helicopters and in relevant position, pacing all around outside of the bathroom, in relevant position to you outside of the building while you're in the bathroom, walking all around to the men's restroom, which is next door to the women's restroom, while they are all monitoring and aware of the fact that your panties are down and they're group stalking you. It's a sex offense. It is going to be prosecuted as exactly what it is. They do so on a 24-hour basis, engage in hovering, psychotic, and obsessive group stalking, keeping you under surveillance, including while they know you are peeling your panties off of your person, exposing your genitalia, engaging in a private matter, and they are obsessively stalking you. And you know that as a matter of fact because it's an unnatural environment. You're not using the bathroom in the next stall. You're group stalking. And you're a sexually perverted, demon-possessed group stalker. It's the state that is stalking you in the bathrooms. Okay, so I want to be clear. You're going to look at this engineered light, and this is a sex offense that the people of the state are engaging in. And all this demon intended to do was create this audible activity. And let me also point out what this demon is doing. This is what the psychotic behavioral pattern of the defeated entity. Okay, Satan is defeated, and this matter of public corruption is fully exposed, and this corrupt government is fully defeated. Okay. The entity is engaging in what is the pattern within the pattern. Oh, the entity will provide evidence against itself by arriving in helicopter, either audibly or visibly or both, as you expose and prosecute via the direct evidence of literally capturing the impossible. The sun is never going to be over the same apartment all day long. And it does not matter how long the demon possessed want to engage in stalking and doing so while the first half of the day is cloudy. No one will ever forget that the light source is over me at this property at 9:37 in the morning at the entrance of this apartment building. I just captured that on June 5th. I just captured the light source over me at 9 o'clock in the morning on May 30th, 2024. I just captured the light source rising in alignment to my living room, not only on May 5th, not only on May 6th of 2024. I'm capturing that as of late, literally this week while I went to the California DMV. The entity maintains a light source over me as I return to this property again at essentially 9 o'clock in the morning. But I've been documenting on video for the world to witness as of February 2024. No one has forgotten that. So the entity, in other words, I'm just going to wait. That's why my silence is I'm waiting for you to connect that. I'll wait. The entity is providing ongoing evidence against itself while it provides, again, audible activity, evidence that you're stalking, light activity, evidence that you're group stalking and doing so with regard to the engineered light, stalking with light, using your vehicle in the engineered environment, stalking with light. Doing so coexisting with what it is that I may be talking about or what it is that I'm doing, including my operation of a communication device, stalking with light. All of it is an outward demonstration of demon possession, which is terrorism, while a whole population and a government does that, and you're going to be prosecuted for it. The entity does so while this light source is hovering over his windshield. You can see it over the windshield of the vehicle. And where none of it is going to be the product of sunlight. He's parked in the shade. And does so, again, the futile acts of retaliation and revenge. These are the ticking time bombs. These are the loose cannons. These are the people that harm other people. They engage in what are acts of violence, nonsensical acts of violence, either on the job or where they live or against strangers. They do not necessarily even require a criminal record, a prior existing criminal record. And I'm going through this because you need to understand the nature of what are the demon possessed, what is not going to be prescribed, what's not going to be addressed by medication either. But this is the reality of the condition of this person, the malice that they're acting with. And you can use this same demented mind state as the mind state that one has when they go up and shoot up a mall. It's the same level of a mind state. It's the same demented mind state. So I just want to be clear. This particular demon is group stalking with the government, which is a threat to your life. That's not a small thing. To use all this energy for no legitimate purpose, to exert all of that energy with a whole bunch of other people, a whole government they're using 24-hour in helicopters they're using planes flying over. They're exerting all resources to engage in this system 24 hours a day. Should I desire to make any false move, just living my life, by the way. Okay, I want to be clear. This same demented mind state is the mind state of those that exact harm against people for no reason. Inexplicably is how it would be relayed to you on the evening news by the people of the state, by the way. This same mind state is what is what people have, is what they are entertaining in their minds when they're doing harm, exacting physical violence, sexual violence, whether they know the people, their victims or not. This demented mind state is what is shared by people that are engaging in those types of acts. So I just want to point that out. Group stalking is revealing a threat with regard to the mental illness that is made manifest. It's no longer a secret when that system is exposed and their criminal conduct and their presence of mind, what their mind state is. Their mind state is revealed because they act with simultaneity to what the target individual does. They do so as a pattern. They're exhibiting what is a pattern of engaging in the phenomenon, this engineered light. So I just want to be clear. This psychopath that wants to come out, I'm so important that you have to come out and engage in what is harming someone for no legitimate purpose. That's a threat to the public safety. And this mind state is what is flying helicopters. They're flying airplanes over me. They're driving up and down Alvarado. They're sitting at the top of the building of Silverview townhomes. They're not doing anything but group stalking, strategic, relevant positioning. They're just there ready to engage in whatever might be needed at any moment in time. That is psychotic. And that's not an exaggeration. The demonic environment and the demonic light activity and the ongoing demonic amplification of audible activity with regard to anything that I do as I do it is speaking to what is a hyper focus on any and everything that I do. And the video that you will see regarding the impossible light activity that's flashing inside of my apartment, which I am asserting is also a violation of my quiet enjoyment because I'm going to drown the pockets, and you will likely result in what is our Todd Speaker who's going to federal prison. Everybody that works for speaker companies is already going. Our Todd Speaker, there's no reason why he should not be going to federal prison because I documented him group stalking me in my physical presence when I was in Palo Alto in December of 2023. And this is in the workplace. That's an intolerable level of facilitation. So I want to be clear. This aged third-party group stalker is not escaping time in federal prison because he is the company owner and I'm prosecuting all of his employees and those that are living on his real property and the state that's group stalking on his real property. I want to be clear. He's given me the evidence to prosecute him, which is resulting in him going to federal prison. It's already on the record. This impossible light activity, this stalking by helicopter, the group stalking by the people of the state is a violation of the quiet enjoyment. It's just another basis to drain the pockets of speaker companies that is not going to survive civil and criminal prosecution. It's also not going to survive, no company is going to survive being exposed by the federal government, by the feds, in other words, as a terrorist, as a sex offender. By company name, that's going to do major harm to the brand. Okay, I guarantee it. So anyway, this is the entity that is group stalking, opening and closing the doors. It's called light activity, and he does so a foolish act, a futile act, a self-defeating act within the pattern of a bunch of psychopaths. Okay, that are engaging in an act of retaliation because I'm documenting the terrorist that is Sang Lee, who's going to federal prison. So let me repeat it again. She's going to federal prison. Okay, and that's what I'm documenting. And then this demon walks out. This is the ongoing criminal mind state, the disturbing, the mentally ill mind state of the group stalkers that are demon possessed. Okay, and everything. You're not only aware of the environment that they're in, the criminal conduct that they're engaging in, the awareness that they have as they engage in it. You are also paying attention to the timing, everything that they are doing. I'm providing for you the foundational basis upon which you are analyzing everything that the government is doing, even down to the timing of what they do as they do it. Because it's also informing you about the criminal mind state. It is serving for what is a comprehensive prosecution. You are prosecuting for the entirety of the crime of federal group stalking and monitoring. That is the service that the P.O.C. provides. Okay, so this is the entity that is group stalking, coming out, opening and closing your door, engaging in the elements of monitoring, and also engaging foolishly thinking you're not protecting anybody, you're not distracting from Sang Lee, who's going to federal prison, her and her son, and then they're going to be shipped back to whatever their place of origin is, and they're group stalking in conformity with the rest of the demons that are pacing up and down Alvarado, the demons that are pacing, repeatedly sounding helicopter. In this video, as I captured it, this video that I captured at 6:05, it ends at 6:25, so it's 20 minutes long. And so I captured this just to focus on the light activity that the people of the state are exhibiting or engaging in. And this is in the shade, and this is literally the quintessence of malice. Okay, just opening and closing the doors, just engaging in pacing back and forth. Oh, I'm getting this. Let me get in the car. Let me open my door. This is all light activity. This isn't even the sun that's over the property. This isn't even sunlight that's going to appear on the asphalt. This is a demon that's engaging in the elements of monitoring, outwardly demonstrating demon possession. And you are looking at somebody that you're thinking is just grabbing tape out of their car. It's demonic activity. Very highly malicious. Very psychotic. Okay, this is captured at what is 6:05. What I'm showing you is not only is this is relevant to what the entity is doing inside. Oh, hold on a second. What's going on inside of my apartment, which is relevant also with regard to what you are able to know, even outside of my detailed narration of the people of the state who are group stalking in concert with the state that's already the state of California is already fully exposed. I am prosecuting the government that's acting, hiding behind the people of the state. That's what they're legally referred to, the third parties, the employee, the servitude that the people of the state provide. That's why they're referred to as third parties. You're not exercising any privacy rights. The government is wrong, failed in the endeavor, thinking you can hide amongst the people, and that they're, oh no, that's an individual. No, they're not. It's very highly malicious. And because of that level of malice that American citizen has a right to not be subject to, you're going to prosecute for that. That level of a malice because they want to target you so bad, which is psychotic. That's terrorism, that a government is targeting you for no good reason and want to do so badly. That's terrorism. That is also reasonably construed through the unnatural environment, which is demonic, letting you know about the condition of those who are group stalking all around you. So this is inside of my apartment. I'm going to prosecute the people of the state, and then I'm going to show you the federal stalking that's underway on the venue of the internet by speaker companies. Okay, it's not a coincidence, by the way, when I am pointing out the fact that I'm going to prosecute speaker companies at 6:45 p.m. This is what I point out in my video that's captured from 6:05 to 6:25. And you have what is speaker companies as I'm going through and capturing screenshots, because I like to provide you ongoing up close examples. You see the car go by, you see that person walk by, you see the other person walk by, you see that car drive by, you see the car drive into the parking lot. These demons are pacing. They're doing it while the light source is over the property. They're doing it while the entity is sounding helicopter activity. They're doing it while engineer light is appearing on my ceiling and flashing, creating multiple shadows. I do that so that you can so I'm breaking down for you what is the demonic pacing. I told you what demons are doing. Demons are mentally ill. This is the affect on a human being that is demon possessed. It's actually a mentally unwell person. And the Satan, that is a spirit that's using a whole group of people, which are also in the government, that are using a whole group of people. Satan, who is highly deceptive, wants to hide that mental illness, that psychotic, that disturbing, that very on its face. It's peculiar. Oh, Satan that is highly deceptive wants to try to conceal that. So what I'm showing you is the same psychotic behavior. You can see it very clearly when you're recognizing the environment. Oh, these are demons that want you to be ignorant about what you're surrounded by and the significance of what they're doing and who they're doing it to. They want to appear like they're not doing anything, and they're not doing anything to anyone. None of that is persuasive. It's not even logical when demons are flying by and engineer light is ricocheting all over surfaces. This is what Satan did not count on. Okay? That's called malice. That's psychotic. Okay? The psychotic, the demon possessed are also violent sex offenders. And this is a sex offense that's being documented. It's in violation of Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. And the entity does so, not coincidentally, while I'm in video pointing out the impossible light activity and naming speaker companies. Everybody using this group chat is engaging in what is operation of a communication device. Engineer light is all over my ceiling. The entity is flying over my apartment in helicopter. The demons are pacing all around me in that specific environment, not the natural environment, not seen out of any windshield of Omnitrans Route 83 in Chino going to Ontario, California. That is the concise that is the conclusive, that is a comprehensive prosecution of everybody affiliated with speaker companies who's going to federal prison. And by the way, just to make sure I correctly state, Juan Carlos is going to he's going to federal prison, and then he's going to be deported. Maria Hernandez is going to federal prison, and then she's going to be deported. And then Maria Solis Alvarez is going to federal prison, and she will be deported. Okay, before I was only mentioning the two Marias, it's also Juan Carlos. I believe he is from another country of origin, and if that is indeed the case, you're not just going to federal prison. You're going to serve time. You belong in a cage, and then after you do your time, then you're permanently out of this country. Okay, so I want to make sure I point that out. The entity is using the group chat. This is revealing the mind state. This is the demon that's focusing on you, keeping their back to you, while all of the pattern of conduct, all the environment surrounds you. The entity is literally telling on you by stalking in a helicopter and in fire truck and ambulance vehicles. The light source, that's not possibly the sun, and engineer light is ricocheting all over the place like that would ever be sunlight. And then this psychopath, this demon-possessed group stalker is going to look to the left and the right, or send a text message under the guise of some business company. Not only are they going to lose their freedom, they're losing this company. The company is gone. Okay, because there is no way that speaker companies, the people of the state, can afford to compensate me for the damages that I continue to suffer while I'm subject to the system of terrorism that they are fully aware of the fact that I remain subject to while they're engaging in it, and also seek to obstruct justice, admitting the fact that they are monitoring documentation, which is a very serious federal offense. Reference to documentation provided by the people of the state, Heather Teal. All right, a human resources director of a third-party company. That is an admitted third-party group stalker. All right. And it is an act of terrorism. It is intolerable by the federal government. She's going to be treated like the terrorist that she is. So anyway, the entity is engaging in what is aiming engineer light inside of my apartment. This is what I captured during the same video, 6:05, just for your viewing pleasure, for the ease of highlighting what shall result in federal prison. Prolonged time in federal prison, the operation of my cell phone, sending text messages under the guise of a third-party company, which is under any circumstances, I don't care how clogged the toilet is, I don't care if somebody is in need of come getting your vehicle towed, they can talk about whatever they want, in other words. It's all serving the elements of monitoring. You do not have the engineered light and the specific environment and the stalking by the state because there's some exception that's outside of that criminal system. Nor can you reasonably contend that. Nor is that even legally relevant because you know what's going to control and you know what the federal government is going to prosecute for? The fact that the government is engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, which is already established as a matter of evidence. Nothing is seeking to contradict or distract away from that. So whatever, in other words, that a psychotic demon thinks, oh, well, we were doing this over. Okay, well, while you were doing that, you were group stalking in the path, creating light activity and audible activity. And you're going to federal prison for that as a fire department. Period. You can carry whatever body you want. You can arrest whoever you want. That's how the system works, by the way. That's why you have employees. That's why you have businesses in operation while the same exact system is underway. It's called malice and it's despicable. This is how you pierce beneath the veil of public corruption. So I want you to see this engineer light inside of my
very exclusive. And the environment is demonic. The environment is literally providing the evidence against the entity. And this is what the entity is going to be faced with in federal court. And I'm going to drain the pockets not only of speaker companies, not only is our Todd speaker and every group stalker employed by third-party speaker companies, they're going to federal prison.
All right, so I want you to pay attention to that. The moment that I utter federal prison, what do you see? First of all, this is damning enough that you're looking at my shadow, 3 of them appearing above my head. That's damning enough. What do the demon possessed provide, though? The ticking time bomb with the demented mind state, the same mind state that walks into public locations and kills, shoots with abandon, with guns that they shouldn't have any access to. This is that demented mind state that provides more evidence against itself because it's hostile as you enforce your rights. That's that mind state. That's that ticking time bomb. Again, the ongoing public safety concern while it is currently walking around free, masquerading as law enforcement agencies, by the way, as sheriff's departments, as courthouses, sitting on benches and practicing law, engaging in what is fictitious authority while the state is engaging in what is state terrorism, wanting to desperately hide it. You're not hiding it. And all of your efforts to try to hide it, it's going to be prosecuted as the malice that it is. Okay, the terrorism that it is because an American government exacts that against an innocent American citizen. That's how that's going to be prosecuted because that's exactly what it is. I'm not just dictating, oh, it's going to go this way. It's going to go that way because it's a matter of justice and it's the reality of what is going on. And that is not just coming out of my mouth. It is supported by a body of evidence, meaning the government has demonstrating not just the fact that I captured it, but I captured the government engaging in a pattern of it. That is unmistakable, irreducible, and insurmountable direct evidence, which, by the way, is going to be used against the people of the state. It's criminal co-conspirator. This is impossible light, and at the moment I utter the phrase federal prison, you will see that engineer light appearing inside of my apartment on the wall. There is no photo shoot going on. You can see my hand is up in the air. The other hand is holding my camera. And I also don't need to make up the fact that the entity is stalking me by helicopters. I don't have to make up the fact of a light source that's not possibly the sun. I have already established my credibility. I don't have any pixie dust or wands. I don't practice witchcraft. I serve the Lord Jesus and I don't have anything to hide, nor do I have anything to withhold or hold back. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on. And I'm also going to expound upon what's the criminal mindset about a bunch of demons who sought to originally secretly target someone. And now that it's not a secret, now they are exposing all of their demon possession and all their demonic tactics. Okay, this is impossible light activity that then begins flashing on the wall at the moment that the demons are listening to their criminal conduct, their demonic conduct, which is criminal, but the demons are witnessing the criminalization of their demonic behaviors. That's what they're reacting to. Okay, this is speaking to what is going to be criminalized. This is terrorism via directed light. That's a federal offense by the government that's group stalking you. It is literally an admission that the state is monitoring you. Literally. And it's occurring pursuant to the demonic behavioral pattern. With simultaneity, what is it that I've already defined for you? What are demons doing? Monitoring spirits doing? They're engaging in the elements of monitoring with simultaneity to my physical movement and or operation of a communication device, with simultaneity to my speaking to time in federal prison while you are group stalking. In the engineered light, which is direct evidence of the fact that you're group stalking, you see what is light activity. That is flashing of light. Light turning on and off, light appearing and disappearing. Flashing of light is literally an accelerated method of the same light activity. Flashing of light, and it occurs with simultaneity to my documentation speaking to what is federal prison for demons that are engaging in terrorism in this country. That is literally the pattern. And it is also speaking to what is an admission that not only is the entity group stalking, but the entity is monitoring and group stalking ongoing evidence. So you have the audacity as a government to violate the constitutional rights and human rights of an American citizen. And then you have the audacity to pose the highest threat and communicate through your conduct, your criminal activity, that while that American citizen enforces their constitutional human rights, you will continue to pose that threat as though you are above the law, as though you will exact some sort of harm in order to make sure that they don't get redress in any court, because that's what's reasonably construed from that threat. You're threatening harm. You're speaking to the inability to get justice. You're speaking to the ongoing determination to continue engaging in what is stalking. Let me be clear, stalking is born of obsession. That is terrorism in and of itself, that someone is stalking you. You have a whole bunch of someones. You have a whole population of demon-possessed someones who are stalking. That's terrorism. And so I want you to pay attention not just to the fact that the engineer light is already here. Then the flashing of the engineer light. Remember, it's also the timing while the elements are underway. Speaking to real-time knowledge, you are comprehensively prosecuting every facet of the crime of federal group stalking and monitoring. So as I speak it, the demons are listening, okay? That's relevant for what is prosecution.
Very exclusive. And the environment is demonic. The environment is literally providing the evidence against the entity. And this is what the entity is going to be faced with in federal court. And I'm going to drain the pockets not only of speaker companies, not only is our Todd speaker and every group stalker employed by third-party speaker companies, they're going to federal prison. All right? They're going to be prosecuted for what is, let me be clear, this engineered light is a violation of your quiet enjoyment. The ongoing stalking by helicopters is a violation of your quiet enjoyment. The ongoing admission by that entity while you see flashing directed light, this is the ongoing admission by a demon-possessed population who engages in more terrorism, more sexual violence, more stalking behavior as you expose it. Because
there is nothing that is occurring from this angle, from any sun that's over you, the sun that's not going to be anywhere near me while I'm on this day around the same time on Route 83, going north on Euclid Avenue. No vehicle driving by is creating any ricocheting light off of their windows into my third floor apartment building. Just coincidentally, at the same time that I'm speaking about people going to federal prison, it is beyond any reasonable basis to even contend that it is anything other than what I am exposing about a corrupt government that's practicing demonic activity, group stalking. And everybody that lives at Alvarado Gardens, because of living at a crime scene, providing that level of facilitation, all 59 units are filled with terrorists who are all going to federal prison as the first aspect of their punishment. Those that don't even have natural born citizen status, they're going to be deported. Any type of naturalization granted, I don't care how long, 35 I've been in the country, you just understood and have experienced the grounds upon which that has been revoked. No terrorist will remain in this country that's been granted citizenship. No terrorist will remain, and there won't be any negotiation to that end. You have just learned the basis upon which citizenship, no matter how long ago it was granted, that privilege it's not being revoked. You have given it up. Since you want to be a terrorist, that's entirely un-American. You don't belong here. It is the quintessence of unworthiness to be in this country. And it does not matter how long you think you've been here. You have never exceeded the basis upon which that citizenship, that naturalization will be revoked, period. And those that are in custody of the minor children are going to be taken from the custody of the people of the state who are making minor children terrorists, stalkers, okay, very demented mind states that are being instilled to minor children. Pay attention to the teenagers, Susana Martinez, demonstrating a very disturbing pattern to engage in group stalking, which is demonic activity. The federal government doesn't have to try to save this child, okay, nor can they. But like I said, the concern of any government, of any crime that's committed by the corrupt government, the state, which is defiling households and the public society, holding hands with minor children to engage in criminal conduct of a demented nature. This is the infection that are these terrorist organizations that are the people of the state. It is unfathomable. Yes, you're removing those minor children and getting them out there that's subject to abuse of a federal nature. And let me be clear, the federal level of, or federal version of CPS, because I will contend, and I'm not going to hesitate. CPS, they are within the confines of this jurisdiction. I want to be clear, it's a state actor, and this level of public corruption is very much relevant and present within this this state. So I'm talking about the Child Protective Services. They're a function of the Los Angeles court, the Metro Court, the San Bernardino County courts. It's the same entity. So under no circumstances is the CPS is going to be cooperating with the federal government and removing minor children just to replace it. They're engaging in the same level of abuse. That is circulating the same system of corruption, by the way. So this is requiring what I'm speaking to and what I'm advocating and what is necessary as a matter of justice. It is requiring what is a federal answer to many of the problems that are precipitating from a fundamental lack of, there is a lack of trustworthiness. You can't trust the government. You can't even trust the population. And this is just inherent to what has literally poisoned. And it starts with what is demonic. So, by the way, darkness, demonic, wickedness, it will manifest itself in your behavior and how you live your life, how you do your job, whether you do your job, whether you want to be corrupt in doing your job. This is how you have this problem amongst terrorist organizations. Satan has literally converted law enforcement agencies to terrorist organizations akin to those that are in places such as Afghanistan. And that's just capturing their criminal activity. I don't have to add or take away from anything. Okay, I understand how to prosecute a case. You prosecute based on evidence. Based on everything that the evidence reveals, that is the basis of my statements. It is based on evidence. That's exactly what they are. So it's not going to be different, and they're not going to be treated differently because they are in the jurisdiction of the U.S. Oh, to the contrary, they're going to be treated like the terrorists, like the threat that they are, masquerading with authority that they do not deserve and that they do not actually have. They don't actually have it. And they're psychopaths listening right now at 7:40 p.m., listening to the truth being uttered about them. Just obsessively stalking in helicopters. Psychotic. Psychotic to even do it in the first place. And at this point, at this juncture, in the exposure and a prosecution of a government, literally showing your mental illness, because it is totally exposing yourself. You have lost your endeavor, your whole purpose of group stalking an American citizen. You have done it to the one that is going to expose you and prosecute you for it and teach the rest of the world how to identify it. And what you're identifying is not only criminal, you're identifying the demonic. You're identifying the works of Satan, and it is for your own good. All right, so I want you to not only witness this light activity, which is never occurring from sunlight, in addition to what is occurring. I'm capturing this at 6:05 p.m. Like I stated, the entity is engaging in, first of all, in what is a pattern of stalking. All right, 6:05 p.m., the entity sounding helicopter activity. I continue to note that every time you're hearing it, every time you see the entity is communicating a threat. The entity is group stalking. You're in the specific environment. It's criminal. And that's going against the people of the state, as you see Brian Sudd demonstrating, as you see Sang Lee demonstrating in the video. In addition to that, I am at this time on this day in 2022 in an entirely different location, not sharing any window space, not sharing any light activity. I am on, let's see, Route 83. This is the bus. I'm sitting on the bus. You can see me holding my camera right here, capturing what is evidence that's serving for a very comprehensive prosecution of a corrupt government. That is showing what we are, not so much of a free world, not as free as you think you are. And this is the light source that is captured over me at 6:17 p.m. 6:17 p.m. today, I'm capturing what is a light source that's over me while I am inside of an apartment where there is no sunlight that is ever going to be the product of the sun that's over my head while I am inside of my it's not going to be, you can't see the light source through this window. Let me show you the light source that you see here. So that way you can see that light source that right there over my head. The entity is maintaining this light source, and let's document 7:42 p.m. The terrorist organization, with knowledge of everything that's being said about them, revealing the mental illness of that terrorist organization that's going to be shut down, is sounding helicopter activity. And that's just revealing, again, the psychopath that's opening and closing doors, group stalking, targeting someone else, witnessing and aware of the fact that they're being exposed for terrorism, showing their demon possession while in possible light and a light source that's not nearly the natural environment, nor is that natural light, nor is their behavior natural either. And it is revealing the mental unwell the mentally unwell state that they must not necessarily have to engage in that type of behavior and have that type of mind state. Okay, 7:42 p.m. group stalking by helicopter in an audible manner because they're just sitting around hovering in relevant position, engaging in knee-jerk behavior conduct, stalking with audible activity, in other words. At my every move, demons stalking in helicopters. That's what the LAPD are. So the entity is maintaining a light source here. I just want to be clear as I'm looking at this outside of my window. This is not shared. 6:17 p.m. during the course of this video, 6:17 p.m. comes and goes. There's no shared sky space on Route 83 while I am going northbound on Euclid Avenue on the same day in 2022, nor does this light source position create any sunlight that's going to appear above my head inside of my bedroom, nor is there ever any photo shoot type of light activity appearing, regardless of what you're talking about, while the entity is, however, engaging in a pattern of stalking in that unnatural environment. And this is what I'm capturing that is remaining over me while I'm documenting group stalking. This is on the roads and the highways, facilitated by Omnitrans, a third party. That's why you have the light source that's over me while I am indeed on the bus, showing you what is, again, the time. I'm capturing it second by second, showing you exactly where I'm at. There is no sky. There is no airspace that's going to be over my apartment at the same time where you are listening to demons stalking in a helicopter, demons opening and closing car doors like psychopaths because they're trying to maintain the elements of monitoring. And they're also frenzied because their criminal conduct is being exposed. And such mentally ill, demon-possessed group stalkers are also engaging in what is evidence against themselves while they cannot cease to engage in what is demonic behaviors. Their reaction is to engage in more of those demonic behaviors, such as you see appearing flashing of light on my ceiling. That is speaking to what is the necessity of mental examinations and placement in mental facilities as well. Just want to point that out. The entity is maintaining this light source while I'm on the bus, and I'm, for the duration of my ride on the bus, the entity is maintaining the light source. This is engineered light appearing on the side of a vehicle as though sunlight ricochets. And this is also speaking to what is the immediacy of the presence of that light source. That's not outside of my window over my head, nor is it at the same time, nor could it possibly be the sun under any circumstances, as I've shown. This same bus line I've shown so many times, 744, getting on this bus at this bus stop at Euclid and Holt Boulevard in Ontario, California in the morning. And the light source is remaining over me on this side of the bus. Remember, in the evening, the entity is rising and setting rising on one side, setting on the other side. That's what you see when I'm at the driveway of Alvarado Gardens entrance, 9:37 in the morning, over the top of my head, and 5:12, 5:23 in the evening, on the opposite side and still in front of that same entrance at the same property, the same address, literally down to the same physical location at the property. And it's just on the right side of my person, as though the sun is going to rise and set at one property, one address, one location. That's speaking to the P.O.C. This is serving for a prosecution of a whole population, by the way, because what Omnitrans, what speaker companies, what the LAPD representing the state are engaging in, it is the state's pattern of conduct, and it is very highly criminal. All right, this is speaking to what is the location. And just to be clear, I want you to pay attention to this light activity. That's not indicative of a sun that's above us. That's indicative of light that's shooting horizontally, creating the shadow of the side of my luggage carrier that's seated on the bus. That's not sunlight, okay? That's also not sunlight that's appearing on my ceilings inside of my apartment. That's speaking to what's covering all over the inside. None of this is sunlight. This is criminal facilitation. And let me be clear, this is not documentation of not only group stalking, it's documentation of what is federal stalking. Omnitrans, which represents the people of the state, they're group stalking. They're engaged in federal stalking on the roads and the highways. They are indeed engaging in what is facilitating this state system of surveillance on the roads and the highways, which I contend is relevant to interstate commerce. The entity that's using planes and helicopters, I contend that's relevant to interstate commerce. There are more angles with regard to prosecuting and identifying, and that is literally tightening the choke around the neck of the government that wants to engage in surveillance. More consequences, more ways in which you are intensifying that federal prosecution, and all the means of interstate commerce, stalking in planes, stalking in the channels of interstate commerce, doing so on the internet, doing so on the airwaves, via television, internet operated television, through these multiple means of group stalking. That ought to be, and I contend that it already does, based on the language of what justice requires, based on the existing language of federal statutes with regard to prosecuting federal group stalking and monitoring by the government. So anyway, I want to show you where I was at on this day in 2022. I am maintaining presence. Let's get 6:34 p.m. And just to be sure, remember my video concluded at 6:25 p.m. You can see it's 6:25. I remain inside of my apartment. I'm documenting the entity that is group stalking as I remain inside of my apartment. I've already shown you what the entity is doing as late as 7:44. This light source doesn't go anywhere. That's why I document it, because it's so asinine and clearly demonic and clearly illogical, unscientific. And then you also have the nonsensical level of stalking in helicopters, clearly stalking. Even if you didn't have the specific environment evidence, they're clearly stalking. And only a corrupt courthouse, in other words, a facilitating venue, would disregard evidence of that harassment and targeting conduct by a corrupt law enforcement agency using helicopters to fly around, keep you under surveillance, stalking, because there's a definition for it. All right. It is at the very least, by the way, it's harassment. Doing so while they seek to criminally defame you. This is called facilitation by those corrupt courthouses, by the way. But like I said, the P.O.C. provides even more than that. And all of it is serving for what is the connection of the people of the state who are engaging in the system together. This is not visible through any window of Omnitrans, nor is it creating any sunlight through the windows of the Omnitrans bus that's on Euclid Avenue at the same bus stop where I am documenting maintaining presence, getting on this bus in the morning, okay? And there's no sun that's going to be over Alvarado Gardens at any point of the day. There's no sun that's going to be visible through my living room window. There's no sun that's going to be over outside visible of my leasing office window, over building 1810 North Alvarado, over the parking lot, over building 1800, while the entity is stalking all day, every day, and helicopters coming onto the grounds, delivering packages, engaging in that same criminal conduct, while psychopaths know that they've been documented and exposed and will come and engage in multiple additional acts of terrorism that are going to cost them dearly. They do that. That's what they continuously do. The people of the state. That's what they continuously do in the face of what is evidence that for which there will be crickets in federal court, as I like to refer to it. There's no sound response to this. There's no explanation for it. There's no rationalization for it. All right. It is certainly not the natural environment, and no scientific expert will get on the stand contending it. Not reasonably so, not with a straight face. But like I said, there is no scientific basis for what I'm showing you on its face. Is impossible to be the natural environment, even as you dice it down to just that one crime scene. But the P.O.C. provides what is the ability to juxtapose the crime scenes amongst each other, which is how the government is prosecuting itself. Okay, so
this is the bus stop where the light source is remaining, and this is where I'm present at 6:10 p.m. and the entity is keeping the light source.
I just want to make sure you saw that impossible light activity moving across the top of the bus. It's very demonic. Omnitrans is a well-documented third-party group stalker. You're looking at engineer light moving across my ceiling inside of my apartment in Los Angeles. You're looking at demon-possessed group stalkers and stalking with engineer light, opening and closing car doors. You're looking at the demon-possessed group stalking while they're driving up and down a street. While they're driving through my parking lot where I'm working as the property manager, and engineer light, this is the pattern of conduct. And it is the admission by the people of the state. It is the prosecution of the entire population that is engaging in the state's criminal system. The state's criminal system, the state of California, is engaged in criminal surveillance, and it is demonic. And you can witness it through the demon possession, through the demonic environment, that is core central to the system of group stalking. The demon possessed want to pace all around you and the engineered light. Pay attention again to the top of the bus.
This is the bus stop where the light source is remaining, and this is where I'm present at 6:10 p.m. and the entity is keeping the light source in alignment as I'm standing at the bus stop as though the sun is setting across the street from me. I'm arriving here at 6:33 p.m. and that directed light that you saw moving, they're engaging that ongoing P.O.C., the people of the state. This is evidence against our...
Every license plate that I read, they're engaging in group stalking, crossing a path. Every business that the bus drives by, everyone operating these buses are group stalking. You have the ongoing connection of a ceaseless system that is unhindered at all points, at every time, at every location. This is a statewide system, and it is speaking to what is entirely unfortunate, but it is a reality, and it is serving for not only a massive and intense prosecution for terrorism, because this demon possession is inspiring very demented criminal activity by a government. It is therefore legally relevant. It is also exposing what needs to be known, what Satan is doing amongst a people. And Satan is using a lot of people to engage in what is very demented behaviors, which are no longer, it's no longer secret, and it's actually criminalized. And people are literally going to be sitting in federal cells and mental facilities for it. Okay. So I want to point that out. That same light activity you're seeing occurring on a bus. This is just a random bus in Ontario, California. So let's remember what's going on inside of an apartment in Los Angeles, California, where I am documenting indeed what is impossible light activity. The same thing happening on a bus. It's within a pattern.
The evidence against the entity.
This is impossible light activity. And then you have the flashing of light. That's the dynamic light.
And this is what the entity is going to be faced with in federal court. And I'm going to drain the pockets not only of speaker companies, not only is our Todd speaker and every group stalker employed by third-party speaker companies, they're going to federal prison. All right?
They're going to be. You're looking at the same pattern of conduct while I'm on the bus. This is impossible light. No vehicle driving by in traffic. Okay, no angle of the sun, which by the way isn't going to be hovering in alignment to a bus that's driving on the roads and the highways. It's not going to be in alignment to that window. The sun is over above us, not hunkered down in alignment to my bedroom window on the third floor of an apartment building, aiming light horizontally, ricocheting off of mirrors, rising up, flashing light on ceilings, creating multiple. None of that is sunlight, nor is that the sun, nor would the sun be over my apartment building at this property in LA, nor would it be at this same address as I'm still at this same bus stop, as I will show you and remind you about where I've already documented this pattern of conduct. So I just want to be clear because, like I said, this is speaking to what is an ongoing system that has been captured as a matter of evidence for a prolonged period of time. And I am on this same route at 7:44 in the morning, getting on at that same exact bus stop, and I have, and it's Route 83 going northbound. And at 7:44 in the morning, there's no sun that's going to be, as I've already documented, through the visible through my living room window. And also visible through this windshield. And what you just saw right now outside of my living room window at the end of the day. And also visible through the window of this same bus route at the end of the day. That's the pattern of conduct and not the natural environment, even as you isolate the crime scene and then compare the two crime scenes together. Therein lies the evidence of what is a statewide system. And nobody is exempt. No, there is no exception. That's why the crime scene is present in plain sight in the so-called natural environment, and it's not natural. Everybody all around is group stalking. And everybody all around is the state. Okay? This is 7:44 in the morning.
Right over that.
So I want to show you, this is Route 83 going the exact same direction. It's going northbound, Route 83 at 7:44 in the morning, April 21st, 2022. Same time of year analysis applies. And the entity is maintaining this light source. Again, you're seeing it in the evening. It's outside of the driver's side of the bus. That's that rising on the east side of me, setting on the west side of me, no matter where I'm at. So you see it highlighted while I'm on the same bus in the morning and on the same bus in the evening. Never would that be the sun at this over the same street, not maintaining perfect alignment with me all over the state, all over the country, all over the county, remaining over here in perfect alignment, even through my bedroom window in LA. That's asininity, and it's not the natural environment. And the sun is an ongoing, ceaselessly moving, gaseous ball of fire that is not maintaining any stationary presence, which is required in order for me to be on the same bus route at both the beginning and toward the latter part of the day. So let's count 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that would be 11 hours later. Like the sun is going to be in any position for me to see it through the window of the same bus line, going to even the same direction. And then, I'm also seeing it through the apartment window. That's called the pattern. That's the pattern. The pattern of the unnatural environment amongst the population, where the state is engaging in what is a hallmark. What's the state always doing? As I pointed out, stalking in helicopters, telling on the people of the state. So I want you to look at this.
Excuse me. It's First United Methodist Church. This is the light source and in alignment 7:44 a.m.
And this bus I got on Route 83, I got on at the same bus stop that you see me at, and on this day in 2022, that bus stop that we're at, and I'm discussing it, that's where I got on this bus in the morning. I got on and I began capturing video because I'm documenting the Upland Public Library on this day, showing that's not the sun that's remaining over the Upland Public Library as I'm leaving at 6 o'clock in the evening. And I've also used this video on more than one occasion. It's over the venue of the Upland Public Library as I'm going beyond it at 7:44 in the morning. I'm there in the afternoon, 12 o'clock, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the evening. It's still there while the demons, the terrorist organization of the Upland Police Department, are group stalking with the people of the state, exhibiting demon possession while engineered lights moving all across the curb. Reference the record. It's already documented. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct.
After this video, days ago, later hour, that's up when you
That's the Upland Public Library.
That's up when you Public Library. Passing right over there. Yeah.
And that's the light source that's remaining in perfect alignment with me. This is the same exact bus route that I am on this day in 2022, where I'm showing you this phenomenon. And it is the same phenomenon because it's a pattern. It's a pattern of what is impossible to ever naturally occur. The specific environment, as I have referred to it, the specific environment is where the entity is group stalking you, and the entity is the state of California. I want you to see the Route 83. Omnitrans is going to be prosecuted as a terrorist. It's group stalking. It's criminal facilitation of the state's criminal pattern of conduct. That's why you have Engineer Light moving across my head on that bus. That's why you have the people of the state acting in conformity to that pattern of conduct, not only in traffic, not only in the facilitating venues where that bus is driving by them, but also the people of the state that board and depart off of that bus. And also why you see what is the entity that I've heavily documented, the people of the state group stalking in concert with the entity that uses helicopters, using police vehicles, fire, and ambulance, as I have documented the totality of the pattern of conduct, while Omnitrans, the people of the state, are acting in concert too on the roads and the highways. So now you're talking about the analysis, the prosecution of the entity while I'm in an entirely different location. And that phenomenon is continuing. And it's no evidence that it's the natural environment. To continue that which is impossible is not proving that the impossible becomes possible. It is proving that it is a pattern of an ongoing impossibility, which is the evidence of a demonic system of group stalking. And it is also providing what is evidence of those that have an issue. You have an issue with acknowledging the reality of Satan. You have an issue with acknowledging demonic behavior, demon possession. Okay, well, you hereby have an issue acknowledging what are facts and tangible evidence that no reasonable person can disregard. That's what you now have a problem with. This is not just some issue of pontificating on spiritual things that nobody can see. The P.O.C. is providing evidence of a federal prosecution in a court where a government is practicing demonic activity. And it is unmistakable. Okay, this is Route 83, and I am on Route 83 at documentation. As a matter of documentation, this is the Chino Transit Center where I came from on June 2nd, 2022. And I travel this route to get to what is the route for, here we go, Holt. This is where I'm at, getting on in the bus stop. This is where I board, this is where I was at on on this day, June 9, 2022. This is where I'm at, and the light source is on this side of the street, on the driver's side. In the morning, as I'm showing you at 7:44 on April 21st, 2022, same time of year analysis applies. Let me be clear, even outside of daylight savings time, never is the sun going to be over the same bus line, literally the same route. I'm going north, okay? This is going north, so you can see it. That's never the sun. Never. That is never the sun. That's not the natural environment. Okay? That's capturing the pattern of conduct. I am showing you the scene whereby a government is targeting an American citizen. You are recognizing that targeting through the unnatural environment. That unnatural environment is demonic, and it is directly indicating what is the demon possessed who are targeting you maliciously. Doing so in an environment, they don't have to know your name or talk to you or even acknowledge you while the light source and the engineer lights all around you. Let me be clear. The unintelligent demon-possessed entity provides evidence against itself as you use their demonic behavior against them, which it sought to engage in secretly, but that doesn't work when it's on video. You can't criminally defame effectively. You cannot defame effectively, which is criminal defamation, where you have the P.O.C. But this is serving understanding what is facilitation by the government that seeks to conceal its criminal system. You do not have an ongoing coincidence of what is an injustice while that government's also making up information about you, which tends to suggest and falsely depict that you're imagining the P.O.C. Oh, no. You're not going to argue with Satan. You're going to prosecute Satan with evidence and facts that nobody can reasonably disregard. And no federal court, I'm going to let you know right now, no federal court's going to disregard it. So this is the same bus route. I'm on at 7:44 in the morning going north toward Upland. This is where this is the same bus route, the same bus stop that I get on, that I am on at after 6 in the evening, where you see the video. I'm on the same bus route. I've gotten on plenty of times, and this is going the same direction, and the light source is outside on the driver's side of that bus. That's never the natural environment, nor is this engineer light that you see on my ceiling, nor is the engineer light that you see the people of the state demonstrating while they cross paths. So let me give you more evidence of what is a population that is indeed engaged in what is group stalking, while the entity is foolishly giving me a body of evidence, which I don't even need, prosecuting the people of the state. That is the focus now. The entire population is going to be federally prosecuted as the terrorists that the population is. And the entity is maintaining the elements of monitoring As you will remember, the entity group stalking, while I'm at state facilitating venue, the DMV, where you have the people of the state through traffic group stalking, and it is highlighted through the outward demonstration of demon possession while driving in traffic at a distance from the wall of the DMV, in relevant position, in other words, and light is dragged up across that wall of that DMV, which is a phenomenon. That's not sunlight. It's not sunlight while Jeanette Balderas sits boldly on camera in the specific environment in the same video where the entity stalking in a helicopter. That's that mental illness that's going to be made manifest at her federal prosecution, removal of her minor children, removal from the medical field permanently, the impunity that she acts with when she's going to be published to the world as a terrorist and a violent sex offender who act with lawlessness and disregard of the rights and the intention to enforce your constitutional rights. That's what Jeanette Balderas is exhibiting when she's group stalking in plain view and Engineer Lights stationary on the dumpster wall, as I documented on June 7, 2024. I want you to see, again, the population engaging in what is the criminal act of stalking amongst Engineer Light.
That's the pattern of conduct. Metro's a group stalker. 1439158.
See, first of all, this is a commercial actor. Pay attention to the black asphalt. You see the asphalt. This is Engineer Light that's being. This is entirely demonic and it's impossible light activity. Never, in other words, is the sun even going to be over this California DMV over my head. But sunlight is also not ricocheting off of this bus, off the windows, off the tires, off the side of the bus, and creating the shape of that bus in white colored light that is in sync with this bus, which is a means of crossing paths by the people of the state, exhibiting demon possession in doing so. That's not sunlight. That's the pattern of conduct, though, in the specific environment. In conformity to the pattern of conduct, the admission of the people of the state to prosecute a whole population, that's what that is. But it's certainly not sunlight. It is the P.O.C., though. And the entity is engaging in what is an admission, the people of the state, that they represent the entity. And this is the Engineer Light that's on the ground, while Metro, the people of the state, this is a commercial means of facilitating group stalking with knowledge. All of the entity is aware that it's being documented. And if you saw this video, you should. All right. I'm not talking to the feds. I know you're seeing this. This is going to be using it. I'm talking to those that are learning and looking and observing. If you look at the full video, the more that I speak to the demon possession of this entire population, the more light activity you will see, the impossible light activity you will see, the arrival of the state in the police vehicles. Glendale police arrive pursuant to the pattern as you document the entity. Oh, the entity seeks to try to threaten you by virtue of appearing in your presence. Not only is that a threat on its face, especially while the entity is engaged in kidnapping you and physically abusing you, it's engaged in assault and battery while you don't even have any jurisdiction. You're a group stalker. You're a psychopath that thinks you can hide behind a badge. I'm going to take that badge. I'm going to take that reputation. You're losing your job. You'll never have anything to do with law enforcement or a weapon, okay? But the entity engages in this pattern. And then the entity is also engaging in a pattern while you represent the state directly, while you are enforcing your rights via documentation. The government doesn't have any right to stop you from enforcing your rights while it is engaging in a crime against you. And the government knows that. The government knows that. This is serving for what is malice. It's relevant for what is for purposes of enhancement to federal charges and sentencing. The pattern of conduct is to obstruct justice by intimidation, by retaliation, by criminal defamation, by harassment, by exhibiting the fact that you're just a demon, i.e. the Engineer Light conduct. All of that's legally relevant. You're going to prosecute the demons for their lawlessness, for their terrorism. All right, that's what Metro represents, by the way. I'm going to drain the pockets of Metro.
That's the pattern of conduct. Metro's a group stalker. 1439158 Engineer Light on the street while they cross paths.
That's just one example as I documented. I want you to see the people of state, and that's a commercial actor. You don't have to know that bus driver's name. All right. The entity, the malicious entity, the psychopath, by the way, the psychopath and the demon-possessed group stalker would like to contend that paranoid schizophrenic is making up the fact that somebody's stalking them, and they base it on, oh, I don't even know the target individual. The target individual is mentally ill. That is legally irrelevant, and it's entirely unintelligent. Just want to let you know, the entity is woefully unprepared for what is the criminalization of its entirely demonic and malicious system. That is highlighted, it is underscored, it is revealed, it is made manifest through the demonic environment that you are surrounded with, while psychopaths want to look passive, are looking clearly like psychopaths who are passive aggressively targeting you, because that's exactly how the federal government is going to see it, because that's what it is. All right. And that's psychotic. That is psychopath conduct. Very disturbing. The type of ticking time bombs you put in federal prisons, you put them in mental facilities, you require mental examinations regularly, you remove every area of life where they pose a threat to the population. That's how you treat group stalkers.
Pictures of them. 8YSP178 federal prison. 9DOJ182 federal prison. Engineer light moves across the building, going to federal prison. All right. 9FDN322.
So I just want you to see the distance that the people of the state are from the building. And let me be clear. Jeanette Balderas is sitting right next to the dumpster as I documented her group stalking, her terrorism on Friday, June 7th, 2024. You can sit right next to the dumpster or to the wall, to the surface. It doesn't matter how close or far away you are. Never is sunlight ricocheting off of your car. That's not sunlight. It's engineered light. It is also that which the demons are capable of refraining from engaging in. Okay. And it's also something that the entity engages in what is increasing while the demons are exceedingly hostile. It is only reasonable to contend while the demons are listening, or they engage in what is a pattern of increasing that psychotic behavior. They do more, in other words, as I point out what they're doing, which, by the way, demons are very hostile when you can discern them. They're very hostile when you know what their purpose is with regard to even being focused on you, because it is shameful. It is weird. Okay. The whole purpose of group stalking is supposed to make you question yourself. That's not working. That never worked. That did not work even before I had the evidence that I knew I needed in order to prosecute the government. So I just want to point that out. But this is the criminal mindset. That's a criminal purpose of group stalking. Demons are very hostile to that. Satan is very hostile to that. The fact that you are aware of his presence, the fact that you are aware of his purposes, the fact that you inform others about it. Very infuriating. Okay, so this is the entity that is group stalking with engineer light across this building. And again, I apologize for the lengthy video, but this is a discussion relevant. I'm prosecuting the population. Like I said in my video, there's no anonymity. Nobody is getting away with any. These demons can drive in and out of the parking lot. These demons can repeatedly fly over in helicopter, which is exactly what they continue to do. They can engage in what is walking all around. They're not free to do any of that. They're not free to live on this street because it's the state that's group stalking you. Okay, so your concealed system, your concealed methods of engagement, it's not concealed anymore. And this is the criminalization of everything that you have done. You're doing it on behalf. The state doesn't have a right to live in a relevant position to you and build inside a building 1806 number 4, because that's the state. That's not any individual. That's not any exercise of individual rights either. And it's going to be prosecuted as the criminal act perpetrated by that state, because that's exactly what the entity is doing. The heights of malice, the heights of hypocrisy, absolute terrorism. All right, so this is the engineer light. I want to make sure that you see that again.
Light moves across the building, going to federal prison. Okay. All right. 9FDN322.
That's never the product of traffic. Okay. That is speaking to what is a population that's engaging in a system of group stalking. So the entity is maintaining this engineered light just so that you can also be aware. One more, just the traffic, what the people of the state are doing on Alvarado. You already know I'm giving you real-time narration, but I have a whole body of evidence where you can revisit yourself, where you can see indeed what are sex offenders and terrorists pacing up and down a street, monitoring me, while they are engaging in group stalking. So let's look at what the people of the state are doing while they're driving out of the parking lot. And you will see the light activity, especially when I'm at a distance, but also the entity that is still engaging in the conduct, doing so in more subtle ways. It is still that same impossible light activity. Sparking of light, flashing of light is not the product of just driving your car under what is not even the sun. Okay, so we can entertain the illusion. Even if that was the natural environment, which it is not, there is no sunlight that's ricocheting, flashing on mirrors, off of gates, on asphalt, of buildings, none of that. The light source and the engineered light are distinct methods of stalking in the path with light. Okay, and it's a direct indicator of the demon possessed, who are the demon possessed are not doing anything other than group stalking. Group stalking, pushing a stroller, group stalking, driving a car, group stalking, emptying the garbage, group stalking, opening up and closing your car doors, group stalking, walking out, getting into somebody else's car, group stalking, driving onto the property of the adjacent neighborhood, group stalking while riding your bike, group stalking on a skateboard, group stalking while you have your kids running around laughing and screaming, group stalking while you're pulling out of your parking spot, group stalking while while you're sitting in your car. Group stalking while you are in your apartment and doing so in relevant position while the entity is stalking in helicopter. You're group stalking. That's all they're doing. The entity is doing so, and I want to point out what I documented. For example, this is a good example. In the afternoon at Alvarado Gardens, 2:59 p.m., you're going to see the vehicle. Pay attention to the sparking of light that you'll see on the opposite side of the car. The car has already passed. You'll see engineer light across the window, very subtle flashing of light, and flashing of light across the driver's side rear view window. Okay.
9JZE623 is not an exception to that. The entity is living at a crime.
Okay, pay attention, because I am focusing on more than one thing when I'm capturing my videos. Then I go back and I analyze them and I hone in on the things that will point out to you what the demons are doing. First of all, you can see the light source through the rear windshield of this vehicle. This is the specific environment. This third party has already crossed path. You're looking at sparking of light that's appearing on the back of the car. That's very subtle. You're going to pay attention to this window here where I'm touching the screen, this window, and also this driver's side of this windshield, excuse me, not windshield, rear view mirror. This is Lorraine Pena, who's group stalking in the path. This is a 76-year-old woman. This is so sad. And she's going to federal prison, as old as she is. Okay. I don't have anything against people that are aged. All right. What I have something against is that it is so pathetic and it is so sad to be in service to what is, first of all, the enemy of your soul. Satan hates you, hates her, and wants her to remain in this dark state where she is engaging in what is psychotic behavior at this point in life, group stalking. You have children and grandchildren. You should have a whole life that you should be tending to instead of group stalking. It is literally the posture of an entirely pathetic existence, because this is the reality of what she's engaging in. The light activity, the light source, the stalking in helicopter, the ongoing pattern that she has exhibited, even as I hone in on my evidence just on Lorraine Pena. And this is a 76-year-old woman. That's why I'm talking about her age. I have nothing against, and I respect my elders. Okay, but I'm dealing with what is corruption, and I'm dealing with those who do not deserve any respect, by the way. There's nothing respectful about terrorizing an American citizen. There's nothing respectful about your service to Satan because you are hostile because someone else does not serve Satan. There's nothing respectful about that. And I'm not one that would contend evil for evil. And I'm not trying to preach here, but I'm speaking in very raw terms regarding what is very despicable and sick conduct, period. That's all it is. Okay. So this is the entity that is group stalking. So I want you to pay attention to the engineered light that you will see sparking across the window, sparking across the rear view mirror, while Lorraine Pena and this driver are acting together in the immediate environment. They're not acting individually or just these two duos or this duo is group stalking. No, this is the entity that's acting through these two directly, and they are monitoring, facilitating the state of stalking always. Okay. I want you to look at the light activity. This is the prosecution of a population.
And 9JZE623 is not an exception to that. The entity is living at a crime scene and systematically.
Out so you can see it. I try to zoom in so you can see it, but I'm just.
And 9JZE623 is not an exception to that. The entity is living at.
Right. Okay. So you can see that not only does the engineer light move across the back of the Lorraine Pena's gray vehicle, as this white Cherokee Jeep with the light source visible through the back windshield, you can see the engineer light move across the back of the gray car. The windshield, excuse me, not the windshield. You want to say windshield, excuse me. The rear view mirror, I want you to pay attention to that. You see the flashing of light. This is very common sense. The vehicle's already gone. It's the driver's side rear view mirror that has nothing to do with sunlight. It's the coexisting conduct by demons. They're crossing path. At the same time, engineered light, dynamic light is coexisting with the movement in my path. It's entirely demonic. And also, while you analyze that demonic behavior, you see it's entirely unnatural and scientifically impossible. That is also a readily identifiable method of identifying what is the group stalking system. Okay, as I literally just break it down for you. But like I said, the vehicle has already passed. I'm going to zoom out so that you can see. I try to zoom in so you can see it, but I that's not helping. So I'm just going to keep it at this rate. Pay attention to the light activity across the car, across the window, across the rear view mirror.
JZE623 is not an exception to that. The entity is living at a crime scene and systematically.
Okay. And just one more time, you can see it here. This is engineer light across the back of the vehicle. That's engineer light. Okay, that's not the paint of the vehicle. That's not.
Nine.
Uh, it's not like a mirror. That's a sparking light. That's light activity moving across the back of the car, and then you will also see the light that is moving across. So I'm just going to get it one more time, and then I'm going to show you another example.
JZE623 is not an exception to that. The entity is
So
living.
I don't know if you saw that. Okay, this is kind of in the way. Hold on. All right, so through this window right here on the first floor window, I want you to pay attention to that light activity. It's moving across this window. That's engineered light. And then you'll see it at the rear view mirror on the vehicle. This is light activity. And I'm moving the camera, unfortunately, but that is the light activity, okay? So that's what you're looking at. I'm going to zoom out and let you look at that again. This is very subtle, impossible light activity, but that's very subtle, and it is impossible light activity, never naturally occurring, not the product of sunlight. This is the pattern, and this is an act of terrorism via directed light.
9JZE623 is not an exception to that. The entity is living at a crime scene and systematically maintaining the elements of monitoring.
All right, that's one example, very subtle light activity. I want you to see what the people of the state are doing on Alvarado Street. They are indeed acting in conformity to the pattern of conduct. They are acting in concert with the state that uses helicopters. They're driving up and down Alvarado, engineer light moving across the gate. Okay, impossible light activity having nothing to do with sunlight. That is, again, the population that's engaging in state surveillance in the specific environment, and that impossible light activity is their criminal endeavor to maintain that specific environment. The demons also engage in this conduct when they are exhibiting hostility to everything that they are listening, aware of that I'm saying as I say it. So there's a couple of videos that I want you to look at. So let's start with
547 is a Texas plate. Engineer light across the car. The entity stalking in helicopter. Under what?
All right. So first of all, the entity is group stalking by helicopter, and literally the real-time knowledge of what I'm documenting. As I begin capturing the video that you'll see, I'm standing at the same entrance of the apartments at 9:37. You can see this screen recording video that I captured on Friday, June 7th. 2024. But at the moment that I begin playing that video, that's very potent evidence. The demons that are engaged in group stalking, that are monitoring ongoing documentation, very serious federal crimes, immediately begin stalking in a helicopter. And so this is a lesser of two evils. The entity is reasoning in its mind, I will engage in more criminal conduct to stop the target individual from talking about this criminal conduct that I'm engaging in. That is psychotic. That's psychotic. Providing more evidence against this is how desperate you are. This is how much of a distraction you are not being, but that you intend to be. It's obstruction of justice. It is in conformity to a pattern. It is in the specific environment. It is while you are necessarily aware of what's being exposed about you. And that goes with the people of the state. Not only is the terrorist organization, the LAPD, doing so, and you'll see that while I am on video, I begin at this time starting the video that is occurring at the same location on June 5th, 2024 at 9:37 in the morning. This same entity is stalking in a helicopter in that video, and the light source is directly over the top of my head. So at this time on June 7th, 2024, as I stand at the identical location at 5:23 p.m., that light source is still right there over my head. That's the same thing you're seeing on Route 83 at 7:44 in the morning and at 6:18 after 6 o'clock in the evening on the same bus route going the same direction. When I'm inside of my apartment at 7:44 in the morning, for example, I captured 7:59 in the morning just the other day, and I'm inside of the same apartment at 6:05 showing you the light source and the entity that's stalking in a helicopter, the same apartment. That's the pattern of conduct. Okay, this is the entity that it begins as I begin playing that video, which you will see in the full length screen recording. It's right here on the bottom. And at the moment that I started pressing play, this is when the entity sounds. They're already stalking, already engaged in surveillance. They just engage in, look over here, target individual, tape this, don't talk about that. That's the behavior that the entity engages in. Look over here while I threaten your life and I further terrorize you and group stalk you in your face. Okay, rather than talk about the fact that we're a bunch of demons and that's a fake sun over your head. While I am inevitably admitting to the fact that I am demon possessed and am group stalking and know that you are enforcing your rights, trying to expose the fact that I'm group stalking you with this demon that's approaching you with engineer light moving all across the cars and on the asphalt. That's the tantamount to the statement that the entity is making while it is crossing paths. So I want to go over that. Okay, the entity stalking in a helicopter. Pay attention to all that's going on. The entity does so as I begin playing the video on the bottom, and I pause it because I'm going to capture this evidence, and this driver and everybody else whose license plate I captured is going to federal prison. Okay, this is the people of the state, and I want you to pay attention to the people of the state who are exhibiting demon possession. Terrorism via directed light, never the product of sunlight. It's occurring in the specific environment. It is an act of hostility, and it is also showing you what the entire population is doing. The entire population.
It's sad as in it's pathetic. You have literally the pattern within the pattern. They're going to federal prison. 7JL3547 is a Texas plate. Engineer light across the...
All right, so I want you to pay attention as I slow this down so that you can hone in. First of all, this is engineer light. That is, let me go back and forth so you can see this engineer light that's appearing in the shade as though sunlight is ricocheting off the car, and it's appearing on the asphalt. That's engineer light. That's impossible light activity. Let's go back some more, and I want you to see it move across these two vehicles that are parked on the street. Okay, this is engineer light. This is entirely demonic. Okay, this is the coexisting act of what is this engineer light moving across the surface while a demon is moving in your path, group stalking you. The way that it's occurring inside of a private space where no demon's driving a car in my apartment. Nobody's crossing path with me while they're inside of my apartment. They're crossing path while I move around inside of my apartment, living all around me. They're crossing path while they're driving up and down the streets and all around on the properties and on the streets all around and stalking in planes and helicopters. That's how they're crossing path with me. Maintaining engineer light on my ceilings and all of my walls, keeping the light source visible through my windows is how they're maintaining the specific environment, engaging in the demonic behavioral patterns. This is engineer light that's moving across the vehicle. So let's zoom in some so you can see that up close. Very, very demonic. Okay, this is the engineered light. Has nothing to do with sunlight. That's not even the sun that will be over me 11 hours from where I stood at this location at 9:37 in the morning. This is the same pattern of what is stalking with engineered light that you see occurring while I'm on public transportation, while I'm inside of my private space, literally while I'm standing outside in the parking lot. Okay, this is the people of the state. I don't know this demon. But I know that it's a demon, and I know that they're group stalking, not only because the state is stalking in a helicopter, but because the light source is over me at the same location where I'm present in the morning. That's not the sun, nor is that sunlight that's moving across surfaces. This is all manner of a communication of a threat by the government, not an individual. This particular one, license SJL3547, is going to federal prison. Okay, and that's a breakdown of that criminal conduct that's done vicariously on behalf and in concert with the state, who's literally in the video stalking in a helicopter. It doesn't get any more self-defeating than that. The entity is engaging in this conduct as an ongoing admission. This is what you see happening at the DMV. There's no traffic that's going to result in sunlight moving across walls, moving across black asphalt. That's never happening naturally. That's only happening where the system of group stalking, where a bunch of demons are targeting and also exhibiting hostility. The entity is engaging in what is maintaining
via directed light in the unnatural environment. This is the entity telling on itself.
I want you to pay attention to another example.
They do so with that entity in a helicopter. 9GO.
I want you to pay attention to this light flashing across this car. As they're driving in an opposite direction, the light source is over me. It's not possibly the sun, nor is this sunlight while they drive through in the shade. Okay, partially in the sun, in the shade. That's not sunlight, nor is sunlight. I want you to pay attention to that. See this engineer light? This is impossible light. This is the coexisting elements of what is crossing my path, movement, and engineer light moving all across the surface. That is speaking to what is the pattern of... First of all, it's outward demonstration of demon possession. It's malicious conduct. It's occurring after the car has already passed the vehicle. Even if you wanted to unreasonably contend, oh, it's the sunlight that's hitting the car and it's ricocheting and creating light on the car. No. And it's also occurring after the vehicle has already passed. The Tesla is beyond this location. So this is suggesting that after the rear of the vehicle of the Tesla is beyond. You see the rear view, the rear tires. It's ahead of where the parked vehicle is. The car has already passed this location. The light is reaching backwards, dragging across the surface, the driver's side of this car. Just to break that down for you. This is showing you what every single last demon-possessed third-party group stalker is doing on video as I continuously capture them, group stalking in plain. They're engaging in terrorism in plain sight. The whole population. Okay, and I'm exhibiting what the whole population is doing through the pattern of what is engineered light, impossible light activity, directed light, group stalking while demonstrating you're a demon. because that's demonic and it's impossible light activity. It's exhibiting, it's proof of, and it is exposing what every single last person is doing. You do not have the ability to do this one time. You are talking about what is identifying a secret system amongst the population in the state of California, as I have a pattern of capturing literally just on this one day. This is just June 7th. I have years of documentation by the people of the state showing that they're demons, that they're group stalking with the state, who provides evidence against them. You prosecute the state, you prosecute the people of the state. You get to the people of the state through the state. That's how you get to the third parties. Okay, so I want to point out this engineer light that's moving while the vehicle has already passed. I mean, this is all manner of just impossible. This is just a demon that's engaging what it thinks. This is what the people of the state are doing, thinking falsely that you can terrorize somebody and stalk somebody, exhibit that you're a whole demon-possessed stalker in plain sight. This is what they're doing to date. That you can live around and engage in what is 24-hour group stalking in plain sight. You've seen the demon, that is Tiffany Sherez, creating massive light activity while she traipses back and forth in the parking lot, including while with her minor children, and doing so on an ongoing basis. Just federal stalking, just ongoing group stalk, which is terrorism, just on an ongoing basis without a care in the world. The ways in which this entity engages in this criminal conduct today is serving for what is a very, very intense federal prosecution tomorrow. And it will be the example that they are to the rest of this country and the world, because it is under no circumstances going to be tolerated. This is very serious crime that the government is engaging in, relying on demons all over, willy-nilly, just engaging in terrorism, stalking you in plain sight, and thinking that you would never have the ability to prove it. That's the purpose of a demonically inspired group stalking system. That's the purpose of that. It's called malice. This is engineer light that's moving all across the vehicles while this demon crosses path. Doing so in concert with LAPD, they're going to federal prison. This is what the entity is doing on an ongoing basis. 2, exhibiting terrorism via directed light in the unnatural environment. This is the entity telling on itself. This is Satan giving it up. Let me be clear. Admitting what it had, I didn't even need Satan to admit. Okay, there is no son that's going to be over. T-shirt on, driving a Lexus SUV. She's going to federal prison. The lights are now over. All right, and I'm showing the fact that I'm standing at that same apartment entrance at 9:37 in the morning. In addition, that is, by the way, that's the prosecution of that third party in that Tesla there, your group stalking. In addition, that group stalker provides evidence against the entire entity while stalking in the path with engineered light, impossible light activity that only a demon can produce. Okay, the entity is doing so. I have additional video that I want to show. Give me 1 second. 2024, it's currently. That's excellent video as well, but that's not the one that I want to cover. Light source that's at the same driveway where I have. And while they do so with the paint formula or something, is that right? Which is what this is. I've documented the same exact demon. Engineer Light moves across that white Lexus. I've documented him at Nova Contractor. He's I want to see. Truck. I have. This is called impunity. She's going to be dragged to federal prison like the terrorist that she is. Jeanette Ramirez and. It's actually Jeanette Balderas. And this is engineer light that's just sitting there plastered stationary along the dumpster wall. Whether you are 5 feet away on Glen Oaks Avenue, driving on the opposite side of the road, no matter how close or far away you are, never is sunlight ricocheting horizontally off of your vehicle under what is supposed to be ignorantly referred to as the sun. That's not the product of sunlight, nor is the whole system has been broken down. This isn't even the natural environment. That's not even the sun. Okay. And this is documentation of what is impunity. Okay. Her days as a registered nurse are numbered, and this impunity and malice that she's exhibiting as the people of the state, the same demon engaging with his conduct on more than one occasion. I will remind you about what she did driving onto the grounds of this property in the morning, by the way. And I'm showing you the light source that's over me. This is at 2 in the afternoon, I believe. The entity is Maintaining the light source, yeah, 2:37 in the afternoon, and Jeanette Balderas is planted in front. This is a communication of a threat. The entity that is monitoring documentation knows everything that you have spoken of, and to, in plain sight, exhibit what is hostility. That's a threat to your life, your safety. It's also terrorism in the workplace. While you're monitoring documentation, in the same video where the entity is stalking in helicopters, including flying directly over my head. All right, the entity is, and let me be clear, Jeanette Balderas is threatening my life while the entity flies over my head. She is group stalking in the shoes of the government. This will be the individualization of the federal offenses that the people of the state are engaging in vicariously on behalf of that state. The state, the government relies on the people of the state. They're all demons acting together. Okay, this is engineer light that would it's not the product of any sunlight, and it's also occurring at what is 2:37 p.m. So let me remind you about what Jeanette Balderas, while you're looking at what is pacing. Tiffany Sherez is group stalking, driving by in this parking lot, which is what you'll see here.
All I'm going to do is turn around, and then that's how you know what you're looking.
So I want you to look at malice. This is
And while you look at this,
this is pacing. One demon remains stationary. Engineer light, you have the same combination. Now the engineer light's not moving. The engineer light is stationary. You have the movement of another third party who is also moving in the engineer light. This is also light activity. You have the pacing conic, one driving by, one remaining stationary. And then when this demon, Jeanette Balderas moves her car, then the engineer light moves all across the dumpster wall. This is the same pattern of conduct with regard to pacing. And it's also the same combination of what is movement in my path coexisting with what is the presence of impossible light activity, while two demons are acting in concert in two separate vehicles to monitor me together.
Possible light activity, that's demonic pacing, driving.
Okay, you have the Cherokee Jeep where Lorraine Pena was at the front of the parking lot, and the engineer light moved across the window, moved across the back of her car, moved across the rear view mirror, while another one was driving out. Impossible light activity. Okay, coexisting movement in my path while the engineer light moves all around. The coexisting of those aspects of the P.O.C, the elements of monitoring are underway. That's exactly what you see here amongst Jeanette Balderas and Tiffany Sherez. I want to show you, and again, this is at 2:37 in the morning. What I want to remind you about is what this same third party is doing at this same property, the same exact parking lot at 9:16. So let's just count the hours. 9:16 in the morning.
Parking is already clear.
9:16 in the morning and 2:37. 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. So the entity is going to be prosecuted under evidence that includes the fact that the sun would never, and nor is any expert or nor is anyone going to seriously contend that the sun is stationary over the same property, literally over my head in the same position from 9:16 in the morning. And of course I have more, but I could just use these two videos. Also, the fact that sunlight's not going to ricochet off your car. This is literally the same demon who has a numbered amount of days as a registered nurse. This is, again, 9:16 to what is 2:37, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, as though the sun would ever be over the same address from 9:16 in the morning until 2:37 in the afternoon. And also the fact that sunlight is not going to ricochet off your car, both while you're stationary on the property under that light source, and also while you are engaged in movement, engaging in what are multiple acts of terrorism with fully knowledgeable of the fact that you're being documented. This lawlessness, this impunity, this willingness, this desire, this satiated appetite for engaging in terrorizing another, which is exactly what Jeanette Balderas is demonstrating and exhibiting on behalf of the entity, that's going to be used directly against her and everyone else. Because this is a system that she's facilitating and engaging in, and not ignorantly so, in the specific environment amongst impossible light activity. Pay attention to the wall. You can see this line of engineer light. This is the same demon that's group stalking at 2:37 in the previous video that you just saw.
The demonic light moving across, they're all going to federal prison. That's Jeanette Balderas, who has given up her career in medical profession. She's given it up.
You can see the light source that's directly over me as I am. You'll see it right now because I'm going to turn around and you'll see it. But it's visible through the windows of the vehicle. I am at this same property at 2:37, like you just saw her. She is parked beside the dumpster, and the light source is over my head, not the sun. And engineer light is moving all across the apartment building, not even sunlight. And the entity is also acting pursuant to an ongoing pattern, knowledge of the fact that they're being documented and exposed, and they engage in, like I stated, more terrorism, more sexual violence, more harassment, more demonic behavior, which is terrorism by an entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. This is Jeanette Balderas, who is going to federal prison. This is the entity I want you to pay attention again. What you're looking at here, engineered light that's moving all across the building. This is not sunlight. This is never naturally occurring. This has nothing to do with sunlight, nor is this the sun. It's the light source that's remaining over me, and it is in conformity to a thoroughly documented pattern of conduct. And it is an act of terrorism by the people of the state who, as a population, keep you surrounded in this environment to torment you, to terrorize you, to harass you, to incite fear, to molest you, to sexually offend you, touch all over your body with it as well, while they are stalking you, group stalking you. And it's demonic behavior, and it is terrorism on its face. And it is vicariously engaged in on behalf of the government that is using and acting in concert with the people, which is who Jeanette Balderas represents. Okay, this is the same property. Again, 916. This is the same thing you're looking at when I'm capturing it at what is 2:37 in the afternoon. The other thing that I wanted to show as my final example.
That's the same demon you saw, engineer light moving across building 1816. This is called impunity. She's going to be dragged to...
This is 2:37, and this is, I'm at the same property.
The sun?
I'm at the same property where she's crossing path at 9:16 in the morning. No, that's not the sun, nor is that sunlight. Okay, that's, again, everybody that lives at this property is going to federal prison. And that's just how you're going to treat the people of the state that want to provide this level of facilitation to the government. Everyone's going to federal prison. Everyone. Every adult and every minor child is going to be taken from the custody of the people of the state that live here. What I want to show, which I may or may not actually have, is a video documentation.
Okay, that's a psychopath that's
I want you to see this. This is very subtle light activity, and this is the last video as an example showing the population that are the people of the state, regardless of where you're coming from, what direction you're going, who you claim you are, what relationship you claim you don't have to the target individual. It's legally irrelevant. You are looking at what is the population's criminal pattern of conduct on behalf and in concert with that state that is occurring in the specific environment. And this is, again, the framework for what is a prosecution of an entire government that is using the people of the state, an entire population for which there is no constitutional argument. You don't have a legally relevant argument to engage in what is a matter of public corruption. And the P.O.C. provides the evidence serving for what is nothing less than a crime committed by an entire people at all times, at all locations. And I want you to see.
Okay, that's a psychopath that's currently in custody of minor children and acting in concert as one, crossing path, pacing together, walking by me, driving down Alvarado, pacing, doing so.
All right, so I want you to pay attention. What you're looking at here, engineered light is moving across this gate while demons are pacing one vehicle after another. Is not traffic. It's the demonic pacing. One crossing path on foot, walking by me. Another crossing path on Alvarado. You already know what those demons are doing. You see engineer light moving across the ground and the vehicles. So I'm giving you another video where you can look at it from a different vantage point while I'm on the property, while I'm in my bedroom, in other words. They're engaging in a massive sex offense. They're engaging in workplace terrorism and group stalking with the entity that's flying over the property, hovering over my office, flying all around, flying over my head in helicopters, which is the pattern, the hallmark, the government providing evidence against them, and the people of the state provide evidence against themselves. And I mean every single last one of them. I don't care if I never documented you crossing path in a car. I have your address in relevant position, and I'm going to prosecute you. Your group stalking by address. This is how the government is doing it. So the entity is doing so, and that evidence of that criminal system is the ongoing phenomenon of what is impossible light activity, never naturally occurring, not possible to occur one time, and you have a pattern, a body of evidence, by the way, captured over a term of years. Even as I go to the neighborhood DMV, that's serving for what is a prosecution of the population. And you don't have a legally relevant argument. There's no exception. There's no excuse. You're going to be prosecuted for the secret system of terrorism that you sought to engage in to the demise of an innocent American citizen. And all of that is supported by evidence.
Okay, that's a psychopath that's currently in custody of minor children and acting in concert as one, crossing path, pacing together.
Okay, hold on, you can't see it. Let me go back to where you can see the light activity. I'm trying to both capture it and zoom in so that you can see it closer.
Currently in custody of minor children and acting in concert as one, crossing path.
Okay, so I'm going to keep it right here. And if I am correct, if my calculation is correct, we should be able to see it this time. So she's walking by. This is light activity. This is one crossing path. And that's just in motion. Understand, everybody that's living on the property inside of their apartments, as I walk around, it's crossing path. They're maintaining physical presence in my path. They're stalking in planes and helicopters over my head. Crossing path is ongoing. Group stalking, in other words, is ongoing. This demon is pacing around, moving and walking all around me, crossing path. The demons are on Alvarado in their vehicles, crossing path, driving by one after another after another. It's demonic pacing. It's actually psychotic and unnatural behavior of a criminal nature.
Okay, that's a psychopath that's currently in custody of minor children and acting in concert as one, crossing path, pacing together, walking by me, driving down Alvarado, pacing. Doing so, an engineer light moves across the gate. Okay, that's P.O.C. It is currently 9:22 a.m., 9:23 a.m.
And you will hear the demon stalking in a helicopter, amplified audible activity with that demonic behavior exhibited as a matter of direct evidence, impossible light that's moving onto the interior of the gate. The light activity is coming toward me on that gate. I mean, even if it was going away from me, light activity is not ricocheting from Alvarado onto the black gate on the property of Alvarado Gardens. And then what are you looking at? You're looking at a demon that is walking all around, meandering under the light source that's over my head and waving and saying hello. That's called malice. That demon, by the way, does not have to speak the same language as you. That demon does not have to cuss you out and verbally exhibit the hostility that is festering in her bones, by the way. She's serving Satan. This is demonic behavior. There's an inherently hostile spirit, okay? So I want to, and that's just as an aside, the entity is engaging in that communication of a threat while you're looking at the light source, while you're listening to amplified helicopter activity, while you're looking at engineer light moving across the gate. The people of the state are threatening your life and your safety and your well-being. That is as effective as holding a knife to my neck, okay? As telling me you're going to murder me, telling me you're going to rape me, telling me you're going to stalk me, telling me you don't have any rights, telling me I hate you, I'm going to beat you. It's the same thing. You're getting it through the unnatural environment and they're group stalking you. And that is reasonably construed, in other words, through the entity's criminal pattern of conduct. So I want you to see again one more time, because the engineer light is shimmery light that's moving all across the black gate.
Okay, that's a psychopath that's currently in custody of minor children and acting in concert as one, crossing.
All right, so there it is right there. So I want you to see that engineer light right there. That's impossible light activity. While the demon is one that drove on Alvarado. So let's zoom out. So I want you to see the vehicle that crosses path. They are indeed stalking via traffic on Alvarado Street. So this is the vehicle that's crossing path right here. This is a criminal act. This is a criminal act. And the entity does so, engages in its criminal system. And this is the expiration date of a secret stalking conduct system by the secret society. This is the expiration date. You openly engage in that, which is a very exceedingly serious and violent sex offense and terrorism by a government. And they are doing it openly, even at the point where they know that it's not a secret. And I'm going to prosecute for that. Okay. This is an entity that's engaged in a criminal act. This is criminal presence. You don't have a right to drive by, walk by, live by, visit by. You don't have a right to fly over. You don't have a right to do any of that. The government is engaging in what is stalking you, period. And you also know that because while this entity is using a vehicle to cross path, engineer light moves toward me on this black gate, which is exactly what, let me zoom out so you can see it. Sorry. Which is exactly what you see happening here. The third party is, hold on, zoom out. Driving by. Vehicle drives by, engineer light moves across the gate. Okay, that's what you're looking at there. That's never is light ricocheting backwards at a great distance. Let me be clear: that driveway, this gate, is at a distance from that street. First of all, second of all, like I said, the demon could be like Jeanette Balderas and sit right there by the gate. Sunlight's not ricocheting, bouncing off. None of that. None of that is sunlight. This is outright captured hard evidence of, first of all, is what is your demon possession. And it's not just that demon. The fact that it's a random, and I put that in air quotes because there's nothing random. They are not strangers. They're targeting through the behavior. They're targeting through the environment. And that's how you identify the demon possessed. That's how you identify the criminal system of group stalking. So this is occurring as the entity is crossing path in the vehicle. All right. A second vehicle passes. Here's the second vehicle. I have to zoom in just in case it's very subtle light activity. And these are the type of things, like I said, you have to pay attention to in order to catch. But there are other times where I've shown you very, like on my ceiling inside of my bedroom, very vivid, very clear and obvious. Okay, outright terrorism. The subtle methods of stalking and terrorizing via directed light is equally terrorizing, by the way. The entity seeks to secretly target you in your mind, in the chambers of your mind, in a way that you are not able to even articulate with words, in a way and in a manner that is so depraved, so despicable, so weird, so creepy, so dark. Who are you going to tell that to without even questioning the words coming out of your mouth, or that the person that you reported to is going to believe you? I am advocating on behalf of the ordinary target individual. This is the criminal purpose of engaging in what is demonic behaviors that are serving to target you. This is what the government is doing, and that's why the government is doing it. That's a criminal system. Not only what they're doing, the way that they do it is a part of the criminal system. You prosecute for that. That's called malice. Okay, so this is the entity that's crossing path, and you will again see engineer light move across the gate. There it is right there. Okay, so this is why I'm pointing out to you, this is a terrorism that the ordinary target individual is subject to, is experiencing, and this is happening in the workplace. Remember, this is happening also in the workplace. This is a whole other level of a prosecution. I will be suffocating, draining the pockets of speaker companies. But nonetheless, this is the entity that is engaging in this. You have what is a pattern. Do you know the definition of a pattern? Happening more than once? This is literally the pattern in this video. 2 vehicles, an impossible occurrence happening both times. While the impossible occurrence of what is the sun, that's not the sun, the impossible occurrence that it would even be over my head, and I documented it for the purpose of prosecuting a malicious and corrupt government that's targeting American citizens, targeting myself. Okay, doing so in concert with the people of the state, these demons that are pacing all around. As you watch the whole video, you'll see them. They're sitting in the parking lot. They begin driving out. The demons are in the helicopter hovering over in the sky space. This is the terrorist organization, the LAPD. Again, this is the video captured on June 6, 2024 at 9:16 a.m. I captured this smaller video just to hone in on the light activity, which is going for the prosecution of the state. Terrorist organizations such as the LAPD, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, they are literally waiting for, and not just them, the Los Angeles Fire, and the multiple contracts that they have for whoever is doing driving and operating ambulance vehicles. They're group stalking. They're terrorists. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing out here. And you know it because of the conclusive evidence that I remain subject to. The pattern of conduct is exposing the whole operation of what the entity is doing. And that's exactly what the entity is doing out here and now that I'm in LA. And they are waiting literally for the time when they will face what are consequences, and it includes removal, permanent removal, replacement. Okay, so the entity is engaging in this. And so I'm just going to zoom out now that you know where you're looking in the video, because it's very subtle light activity while this demon is holding up her hand and waving high. Okay, monitoring you, threatening your life. By the way, that's also terrorizing. It's not friendly to engage in this conduct. That seeks to torment the mind of the targeted individual who's questioning what it is that they're subject to and don't know why they're doubting it. They're looking at someone that's saying hi, but at the same time, the helicopters are present. This light activity is all over the place, and I don't know what that is, and I don't know why it's always happening when these people are around me, and it feels like they're following me, but I'm not sure why I feel that way. I can't prove it because I don't know that person, and they're being so nice. This is the torment that the ordinary target individual is subject to. They also know that niceness is a facade. It's a facade. That is psychotic to target someone as a whole population. That's psychotic. It is absurdly criminal.
Okay, that's a psychopath that's currently in custody of minor children and acting in concert as one, crossing path, pacing together, walking by me, driving down Alvarado, pacing. Doing so, an engineer light moves across the gate. Okay, that's P.O.C. It is currently 9.
And then you hear the helicopter activity. Okay, so this is the entity that's what the helicopter activity is speaking to, what the demons are doing. Not only are they crossing path above me in helicopters all around, they're monitoring while you see that coexisting of movement in my path. That's including while you hear the helicopters. They're moving in my path above my head, sounding audible activity. The elements of monitoring are present, and the state is acting in concert with the people of the state while you see engineer light moving across the gate. That's an entire breakdown and itemization of what is demonic activity and federal group stalking and monitoring. And it is the evidence of what is the demon possession of the entity that is group stalking you. All right, it is currently 8:51 p.m. The entity, as I documented, I believe that was at 7:54. I will recall on my documentation, because what I continue to document, which is going for the prosecution of the people, and what I remain subject to not only in the workplace but also while living at Alvarado Gardens. R. Todd Speaker is the real property owner, and there are multiple bases upon which I'm going to civilly and criminally prosecute him and Speaker companies while I am subject to this system inside of the private space and in the workplace. Okay, it is currently 8:52. Again, it is June 9, 2024, and this is POC.